I'm exploring the beautiful city of Lisbon in Portugal. Because Lisbon is set on 7 hills, you can go up and down for certain vantage points, but it's here on the river that you see a full panorama of the city and how the hills that are crowded with colorful buildings gently rise and fall. Lisbon's importance comes from the sea. This is where the great maritime captains of the 15th century would embark on a journey to explore the vast green sea of darkness. Now, I have been assured by the captain that if we encounter any sea monsters and/or fall off the face of the earth, my money will be refunded. I'm in Lisbon, Portugal, which isn't that well known as a major tourist destination. The country of Portugal is sort of consumed by a bigger Spain, and therefore the Spanish cities of Madrid and Barcelona get all the attention. But what makes Lisbon special is the fact that it hasn't succumbed to the demands of tourism. When you visit this city, you are getting the real deal, not a watered-down tourist version of it. Lisbon is a city built on and around 7 hills, so there are wonderful views. I thought we would head to the top of one of those hills to get a good overview. And do you see how we're doing it? On a rickety old yellow cheerful tram. And you think, oh, this is a tourist thing, but this is actually a form of public transportation. The most popular tram route to take is number 28, which twists and turns through Lisbon's most picturesque neighborhood, the Alfama. This is Lisbon's most important hill. It's the highest one, and there's a castle on it. It's the Castle of St. George, or São Jorge. You know, I always find it good just to get your bearings. And here we have them. This is Lisbon. There's the Tejo River, up ahead the Atlantic Ocean, and right there is the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, I could be wrong about that. But it does look like the Golden Gate Bridge, doesn't it? And actually, with the trolleys and all the hills, you do get the feeling of being in San Francisco, just a little bit. But this is Lisbon. And right now, we're looking directly down onto its center, known as Baixa. And all the other neighborhoods rise and fall with the hills. So you can see that this is a very compact city. It's very manageable. So now that we have our bearings, it's all downhill from here. I think the Alfama is the place to start your walking tour of Lisbon. It's a neighborhood of such authentic character, and you just hope, please, please don't change. Now, I've seen tour groups of like 10 and 20 go by. Don't do that. You have to come here alone or with your mate so that you can remain inobtrusive, you know, and just simply watch daily life here. It's fascinating. The Alfama is a maze of narrow alleyways and crooked and contortioned streets. Lots of stairs. You know, in the beginning of the 8th century, Lisbon became a Moorish city, and it remained so for over 400 years. This labyrinth of a neighborhood dates back to that time, and actually the name Alfama comes from an Arabic word meaning springs, because there's such an abundance of water here. All the streets here and the sidewalks are cobblestones, so by the end of the day, even if you wear your most comfortable sneakers, you're still gonna be like, oh, I need realignment. Oh, and the stones in the sidewalk, those are slippery, even when completely dry, so get shoes with a rubbery adhesive sole. Now, when you see me slip out from under myself and land on my hiney, you realize that I don't even take my own advice, sorry. But oh, also, come here. When you walk around Lisbon, you are going to see all these buildings covered in beautifully painted tiles. This is common here, and it began in the late 18th century. See, it was a fire-resistant material. The tiles also reflected the sun. They insulated the home. And when you look at them, you just think, my gosh, that's just beautiful. The tiles are called azulejos and come from the Arabic word meaning polished stone. They're sold all over, but it's rare to find a shop where you can see them being hand-painted. These are so beautiful. Look, you can buy them just single tiles or a large panel. Gorgeous. Now the single tiles are €8, so I don't think I'll be doing the front of my house in them. All throughout Europe you'll find these decorative tiles, but not on the same scale as Portugal. Tile making had its heyday in the 17th and 18th centuries. The tiles are painted with decorative designs, still lifes, religious and street scenes. We have certainly seen how charming Lisbon is, but this city has a dark side, one that is marked by betrayal, jealousy, and gut-wrenching heartache. It's expressed in a musical style distinctive to Lisbon known as Fado. And Fado is heard throughout Lisbon, but make sure you go to an authentic place because you are listening and hearing this country's soul. I was told that Club de Fado, located in the dark, narrow streets of the Alfama, is an excellent choice. Both women and men sing Fado. It's accompanied by a special Portuguese 12-string guitar. The musical style is extremely expressive. It's an eyes shut, mouth open, bare your soul kind of music. First of all, you should listen to Fado no earlier than 10 p.m. Second, you want the perfect atmosphere, like this one. It's a cavernous-like space. It's intimate yet unpretentious. And do you see how lively it is here? A lot of loud talking. Everyone's having a good time. When the singers begin to sing, nothing. Everyone listens to the music. So if you're hungry, eat up now. What do pastries and this monastery have in common? The answer's behind the secret door. That's next. I'm in Lisbon, Portugal, in the quarter known as Belém. This is the part of Lisbon where the Tejo River meets the Atlantic Ocean. Look at that, just opens right up. And now you may not realize, with everyone having a great time, taking leisurely strolls, playing with their children, that this was one of the most important places in the world. At a time in Europe when men were thinking, you know, exploring land, it's just so 14th century, they took to exploring the sea. Belém is the point of land from which countless voyages departed to explore the vast green sea of darkness. It was the 15th century, it was called the Age of Discoveries, and it all began right here. Belém is where you come to see Lisbon's most impressive monuments, all attributed to Portugal's golden age of sea exploration. There's the Tower of Belém, built to defend this important river opening. Monument to the discoveries in honor of those fearless men, and the Monastery of Jerónimos. What's amazing is that the tiny seafaring nation of Portugal was 70 years ahead of the Spanish, French, English, and Dutch for sea exploration. And because of that, they controlled the spice trade and became the main importers of luxury goods and spices to all of Europe. In other words, they were rich. And when you're rich, you get to build buildings like this one. This monastery was built to show off Portugal's maritime magnificence. This building is just incredible. The monastery was built in an architectural style exclusive to Portugal. It's called Manuelino, named after one of their kings. It's Gothic in nature, but if you look closely, you'll see animals, plants, and birds, other wonderful items, all associated with the Age of Discoveries. These were things they found during this time. And what they've done is actually incorporate it into the architecture. Just awesome. Now, if Portugal was making money on trading all the spices from India, it was the profits from pepper alone which built this amazing monastery. In fact, they call it the Monastery of Pepper. But unfortunately, the money ran out, so they had to go to Plan B. For this, we have to head next door to the landmark cafe known as the Antiga Cafeteria de Belém. They made pastries. Yep, it's the good old bake sale trick. Apparently, a man at the monastery came up with a recipe for this lovely egg custard tart, and the sales skyrocketed, and that money went on to finish the monastery. Now, between you and me, that kind of sounds like one of those stories made up for tourists, but what is absolutely true is that these pastries are wonderful, and you find them all over Lisbon. Locals call it Pastéis de Belém. Oh my goodness, this is wonderful. Do you mind me talking with my mouth full of food? See, that's very custardy, crunchy, and then the cinnamon, perfect. Now, another thing that is very true is that the man who made these in the monastery actually sold the original recipe to this cafe. So this is where you want to come to get one of these. Now, the back of the cafe is really where all the baking action is, and that's where I'm headed. 160 years old.
Yeah.
Wow. And I hear it's secret. It's a secret recipe.
It's kept secret for more than 106 years.
Do you know what's in it? What's the secret
I
recipe?
wish.
You don't know it?
No.
How many people know the secret recipe?
4 people. Four chefs
Only
make the cake.
Chefs know this. Wow. Now, why wouldn't all these ladies know what's in the secret recipe?
No, no one knows.
They don't know what's in the secret recipe.
At your right,
Yeah.
there's a door that says Oficina do Segredo. That means room of the secret.
It means room of the secret?
Yeah. And nobody goes there but the chefs.
The masters of the
The
secrets
masters
work
of the
behind
secret.
that
Working
door.
behind that door.
Unbelievable. Now, can I take a tray of them to go?
You want to? Let's pick it.
Coming up, we head to downtown Lisbon. And if you thought your apartment was small, I give you the skinniest house in Portugal. Next. We are visiting the country of Portugal and its capital city of Lisbon. Lisbon is known as the City of Seven Hills, and right now we are in the flatlands in between a few of those hills in an area called Baixa. Baixa is downtown Lisbon. This Arch of Triumph was the main entryway into the city at a time when there were no cars, no motor scooters, and people arrived by boat. This is the heart of Lisbon, and you certainly can tell that by all the activity here. You'll definitely want to walk down this street, Rua Augusta. As you can see, it stretches far beyond where the eye can see, and it's completely pedestrianized, so you can stresslessly ponder buying a postcard, a piece of street art, or just, have a pick-me-up at the outdoor cafe. Now, this isn't just a tourist destination. Locals come here too, mainly because this is where all the major shopping is concentrated. And one thing I've noticed about here is that unlike other cities where the downtown becomes just overwhelmed by international brands, major stores, here in Lisbon, you can still see the small individual mom and pop stores. And this is because the government actually controls their rent, so they're not chased out by the big guys. And, Lisbon still retains its authentic character. Now that's progress. One thing about the people of Lisbon, they love their coffee, and coffee houses are everywhere. So it's good to seek out the really great ones, and I've got a great one. The Café da Brasileira. Talk about authentic. This place has been around since 1905. Didn't bring anything to read? They've got you covered. If you enjoy your coffee at an outside table, it's going to be more expensive than if you sit inside, and that's going to be more expensive than if you just stand up at the bar. So I guess it's, whatever you can afford. The man staring at me right now, that's Fernando Pessoa. He's Portugal's most famous modern-day poet and therefore regular of the cafe scene. One thing about being in Lisbon, you're not going to find American filtered coffee. They drink what is known as bica, but they just call it cafe, and that's what you're gonna see on the menu. Just know it's one of these little thimble things. And if you thought espresso was syrupy and bitter, wait till you taste one of these. I'm usually actually only a half a sugar packet lady, but this calls for the whole darn packet to be dumped in there. After I drink this, I'm gonna go from 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds. Oh. For all you intrepid family vacationers who made special stops to see the largest ball of twine or that monument made entirely of bottle caps, this one's for you. I give you the skinniest house in Portugal. Can you believe that? I mean, people actually live there. You know how we all love to see how royalty lives or lived? Well, I thought we would check out a beautiful royal palace that's also a national monument. It also happens to be my hotel. The Pestana Palace was built as a home for a Portuguese nobleman in 1904. It contains some of the finest works of art from the leading artists of the time. It was converted into a hotel after decades of being vacant and forgotten. On the first floor is where you'll find a succession of one eat-your-heart-out room after another. It's just amazing. All the woodwork you see, the ceilings, the beautiful floors, they're all original to the palace and had to be painstakingly restored. This is the Louis XV salon, and the word opulent just sort of falls flat in a space like this, doesn't it? Everything is decorative, everything is embellished upon, and the fact that I'm not wearing a full silk gown with jewels hanging off my neck, I feel a little underdressed. But on that note, I will say that the clientele here, while I've been here, is really laid back and casual. So in other words, I'm not the worst dressed person here. The Pestana Hotel has 109 rooms throughout the property. So this is my room, which, to be honest, is a sort of a letdown after walking through that gorgeous palace. It's like, where's the floor-to-ceiling stained glass window? Where's the Louis XV furniture? But if you want that, they do have it in the way of the royal suites, which are located back in the palace. The basic rooms here are modern, spacious, less embellished, but quite comfortable. Now, this hotel fits under the category of deluxe luxury, but just know that Lisbon has quite a selection of hotels, and there really is something nice to fit everyone's budget. A great selling point of Lisbon is that it is less expensive than most of Europe, so you have a little extra money for shopping. Now, where's my purse? Oh. We're heading out. Stay tuned to see why Lisbon is Europe's up-and-coming party headquarters next. I'm hanging out dockside in Europe's maritime capital, Lisbon, Portugal. So for dinner, I thought we would come here to Lisbon's Riverfront, which I had no idea how wonderful this is. I mean, look, it's restaurant after restaurant, a fantastic atmosphere. Just to think that until recently, this was all industrial wasteland, and now it is the place to be. Now, a word to the wise, people here eat very, very late. Restaurants don't even open until 8:30 p.m., and then people don't show up till like 10. So I cannot believe this isn't a country filled with cranky, hungry people. When you're in Portugal, you absolutely have to have seafood. Preparing seafood is in their blood here. The Atlantic Ocean is right out there, and there's wonderful fresh fish, fresh shellfish. So it's interesting that actually their national dish is dried salted cod, served with a little bit of olive oil, garlic, and potatoes. I wanted to try something fresh, so I went with their codfish, which is prepared in a traditional Portuguese way with stewed tomatoes, cheese, coriander, a little bit of potatoes, and green beans. Now, the people here drink a lot of wine, red and white. I must say, all of it is very inexpensive and drinkable, so it's great just to sort of experiment with what you like. One thing that I love about being here in Lisbon, the language, the Portuguese language. The S's are sh, and even the X is pronounced zh. And while we would say that people of Lisbon would be called Lisboetas, here they say Lisboetas. It's very sensual, or should I say, sensual. It's 1 a.m. and the nightlife is just beginning to pick up here. Lisbon has the reputation for being one of the top party destinations in Europe. And if that's not your lifestyle, and if that doesn't really appeal to you, you've certainly seen this as a city with unexpected and endless charm. This is a city where centuries-old traditions are still very much alive and happening in a truly romantic Mediterranean setting. And you know what has really impressed me about my visit here is that you can actually sense it emerging as one of the top destinations in Europe. And with that brings a lot of change, some good, some bad. But what's important to Lisboetas, Lisboetas, is that they remain true to themselves, and it's that authenticity of place that makes this just an incredible place to visit. Actually, I'm going back that way. If you want to learn more about what I did in Europe, talk about the show, or check out my photos and journal, log on to Travel Channel at discovery.com. See you there.